Do you think we're going into World War III?
We're really close to it, as you know. The fact that anyone would even consider getting within 1,000 miles of fucking around with a nuclear exchange just shows you that the core impulse here is suicide. That's what all of this is. And that's why I personally think it's spiritual. The word demonic is suddenly being overused. It's everywhere because it's real. If you see a human movement that's anti-human, the push toward nuclear war for its own sake is by definition anti-human, I would say. AI is anti-human by definition. Transgenderism is anti-human by definition. Transhumanism is anti-human. Do people act against their own long-term interests? Probably not, actually. So it's probably not human. I'm like looking at this like very autistically, very simply, trying to reduce it to its most basic elements. And like any movement that's anti-human is probably not human.
You were trying to get into CIA.
Yeah, as Vladimir Putin reminded me. I don't know how you knew that. Yeah, I applied to CIA when I was a senior in college.
What did you want to do for the CIA?
Operations. And I should just say, for the record, that I had no idea what the CIA was. I think Kermit Roosevelt actually lived right down the street from us.
Are you kidding?
No.
Oh, man, that's cool.
And I've taken a lot of crap, including from Putin, like, oh, you're from a CIA family. Well, yeah, obviously my father worked in conjunction with CIA. I mean, that's what that is. I'm not being false about it. I am a sworn enemy of the CIA at this point, no doubt about that. So I got dinged from CIA for drugs. I'll just be totally honest. I had done cocaine within the last calendar year. And the rule was at the time, if you've done certain drugs within 12 months, you can't join. So funny. I'll never forget this going home.
They would literally tell us that. Guys, just think about fuzzy bunnies when you're taking this test.
Those tests are insane. They sent me a letter, so bring a number 1 pencil. So I say to my father, I have to bring a number 1 pencil. Well, you better go to the stationery store. We lived in Georgetown. So I walk in there, I was like, I'd like a number 1 pencil, please. And I'm like, there is no such thing as a number 1 pencil. So I go home and I say to my father, I'm like, I couldn't get a number 1 pencil. And he's like, well, just try it with the number 2 pencil. So I show up, we sit down in this giant auditorium. All the military guys, they're so like, gotta follow the rules. Oh, excuse me, sir. I couldn't find a number 1 pencil. And everyone's like, I couldn't either. Never forget the CIA guy administering the test is like, you couldn't find a number 1 pencil? Okay, well then I guess a number 2 will do. But anyway, the answer to these questions is, they're repetitive. They ask you the same question in a different form. And one of them was, I am fascinated by fire. You'd have to be a fucking lunatic to say yes, because you're clearly a psycho, right? And my father, who knew a lot about this subject, goes, yeah, but the psychos don't know they're psychos.
I would be working for the agency. We're all insomniacs. And it was just take whatever the fuck you can just to try to get some sleep. That starts the cycle.
Like alcohol, I think those are the only 2 categories where withdrawal can kill you. Heroin, no. Crack, no. Benzos and alcohol can literally kill you and kill a lot of people.
I had a suicide attempt. Can't believe we're going here. Parked the car in the garage, left the engine running, reclined the seat back, and was like, let's check out. It didn't work. I woke up in my bedroom in my townhome. My whole townhome smelled like gas. So I came down the stairs, and there was a pistol that I had gotten out of the safe, which I'd never use, and all my clothes were on the couch in front of the TV, so I think that maybe I was pondering killing myself on the couch, and then I went to the garage, and I touched the door handle, and it was hot to the touch, and I was like, oh shit.
Now we all know that this whole enterprise is bullshit, and they refuse to get better. They refuse to admit it. And as a former alcoholic, I know the process of just admit it. Just admit it. I'm kind of a loser. It's all right. You can say that because it's true and everyone knows it already. Just admit it and get better. They refused. They're still defending the Iraq War. They're still defending the indefensible Vietnam War. Still pretending we didn't know the Japanese were going to attack Pearl Harbor. Like, there's too many lies. Like, I can't deal with this many lies, actually. And it's very unhealthy to live in a society that is defined by lies. It corrodes your soul. It's bad for you. You go to hell, actually. You're living in hell when you live that way. And all of this came to me in this short period of time, and I couldn't quite articulate it, but I felt it so strongly it affected my sleep. It really just changed my life forever. But it's a burden to have all of your pre-existing beliefs explode in a short period of time. It's like, wow. It's like being kicked out of a cult. You're like, I can't believe I live there.
Building 7. So that building got reported being down 26 minutes before it actually fell. And you can't...
Totally normal.
Yeah, right? There's a woman on BBC...
Shut up, conspiracy theorist.
There's a woman on TV, on BBC, talking about...
Oh, I've seen it.
Talking about how the building is already collapsed and it's right behind her.
Well, let me just
26 minutes later, the building collapsed. What do you think?
Well, first of all,
is?
How dare you for noticing? It's really your fault for noticing that, I think. And I think you're a bad person for noticing it, okay? Just to be clear. clear. That's the official position of Washington. Shut up. I don't know the answer, of course. I'm not a structural engineer. A lot of people think what happened to Building 7 seems impossible. A lot of structural engineers have written this and think that seems impossible. It seems impossible to me too, but I don't know. All I know is that, as in the case that I described with NATO and Trump, if your answer to a sincere question like, how did that happen, is shut up, it's to attack me for asking the question, then I know you're rotten. I'm usually pretty curious. I've stopped being curious about this because I don't want to know anymore.
You truly don't want to know anymore about it?
I think I know. I think I know what's up. So I can't prove it. Probably not going to articulate it, but I think I know what's up, yeah.
Can you articulate it?
I think it's a really old story.
What is it?
I'm a Christian and I am fairly sincere about it. I try to be sincere about it. More sincere than ever, for sure. One thing that you notice about every world religion I'm familiar with, I'm interested in that topic, there are commonalities between religions. Jesus is unique and I believe in Jesus. So I don't believe in any kind of pantheology, okay? I don't think they're all equal or anything like that. I think mine is correct. I think that. But there are commonalities that are very striking between all world religions I'm aware of and all creation myths. One of them, and this is of course true for Christianity, very true, is that the belief that supernatural beings take physical form. They all believe that. The Greek myths, Jesus, most famously. And it's described in Genesis as well, in Genesis 6. If every culture in the world that we know about, who's left any kind of written or physical record, is reaching the same conclusions about something, maybe there's something there. What I find so striking about the UFOs, this is the main takeaway I have. There's this debate like, is this stuff, these phenomena, which are clearly, obviously real? I mean, there's no debate about that. There's a lot of shit that people can't explain in the sky and underwater. We know that. So the debate is this government technology? Is it from outer space or is it some spiritual realm here? I've already told you my view of it. But what I find so interesting, we know the government's lied about it. They're lying about it now. That's a fact. There's no way around that. They've absolutely lied about it in very elaborate ways. Here's my current thinking on it. The main effort that the US government has put into its disinformation, its lying on this topic, has been not to mislead you on the technology. They're not telling me they don't have anti-gravity technology. It sounds from watching your podcast that they do, which I believe. Their main interest is in convincing you that the supernatural is not real. So he finally goes to the doctor, and the doctor looks down his throat and goes, holy shit, and gives him an emergency tracheotomy in the examining room because he had such a huge tumor in his throat. And he was such a heavy smoker, they're like, you got throat cancer. Well, it turned out to be tuberculosis that he caught in China, but they didn't know that at the time. I fly down to Washington. I get to the hospital just as my father's getting out of the recovery room. My stepmom's there, who's really the kindest person I've ever met. So he's getting wheeled out, and he's in this gurney, and he's got, of course, so he can't talk. He's got a hole in his throat. He's recovering from surgery, and my brother and I are there, like, trying to keep from, crying in front of my dad. But our dad's dying. He's got throat cancer. Holy shit. It was out of nowhere. He sees us, and he was like, hey, guys, we can't talk. Hey, guys. And he looks down, and he sees his wife. I'm watching his face. He sees her butt, and he's reached out and grabs her butt. I just thought, he's just an animal.